Okay, this is Yvette of YB Builders. I'm going to show you how to lay out a couple of pieces and one course of luxury vinyl plank flooring. Okay, so the substrate that we're working with is concrete. We use a little bit of self-leveling to correct some of the divots, and we did some grinding to remove some of the high spots in the floor. We've got a 3/16 tolerance for a 10-foot diameter area. This floor was pretty leveled, so as you can see here, the installation is going pretty tight. Looking pretty good so far. So I'm going to show you how to install a course of luxury vinyl plank flooring. So, started off on the far left end there with a starter piece, which is usually 1/3 the piece of a full board, so it's about 16 inches in depth. So this piece that I'm laying right now, each piece is about 4 feet long, as you can see here. Each piece has a tongue and a groove. So it's a tongue and a groove system. The pieces do go in together like a puzzle. They fit together in one direction. And I am installing from a left to right direction. And I'm coming up against the wall, so this is a pretty good video of a complex position to work in, because you can't work from the left and you can't really work from the right. You got to kind of work over it and go back and forth without dropping your tools or smashing anything. So what I'm doing here is I'm placing the edge of the tongue into the groove here, and I'm going to get it in nice and snug, and I'm not putting too much pressure on it, just enough so that the joint is closed. This leading edge on the fourth length is going to sit right next to the adjacent piece. Maintaining this joint nice and tight, I'm working my way backwards, getting this joint consistent against the adjacent piece, and now I'm going to lock it in by just using pressure with my hands. No need to tap at this point. Just use pressure until you get to right about half of the board. When you get to this point here, what I like to do is come back and check my joint one more time. Come in with my tapping block and tap the inside corner to be sure that I got a nice little snug joint there. I'm just going to use just a little tap, just like that. Then I'm going to come in on the far left edge, just a little tap to be sure this is snug. Come to the center, little tap there to make sure that's snug, and work my way across. As you can see, we still have a small gap here that I need to close. So I just come across and I'm tapping along to close that joint nice and snug. When you're tapping using this tapping block, if you don't use finesse, you will damage the edge of this flooring. It's very, very delicate, so you've got to use a lot of finesse and sensitivity to the flooring to eliminate the likelihood of damage. Once you damage this flooring, especially the edges, you pretty much can't reuse the piece, and you gotta pull it out and replace it. So you gotta be really careful with how you put the pieces together. You wanna be sure that if you don't have your vacuum, you use a broom and a dustpan, or where I'm at right now, since I don't have one handy, I'm just dusting it with my hand, and you can kind of feel the grit, so it works for me right now. So again, now I'm working backwards because obviously I have no space to work up against the wall. So I got this joint here nice and neat, nice and snug. I'm going to come across, lift the flooring up off the floor. on the right edge and lock it in. Lock it in just with sheer pressure. Lay it down. At this point, sometimes it's handy to have a rubber mallet just to be sure you got it locked in. Rubber mallets are always good to have when you're installing this type of flooring, as is any other type of flooring. On my rubber mallet, I got a white side and a black side. I like to use the white side. Sometimes the black side leaves stains. So again, I'm going to come on the far left, tap, tap, gently tap, gently tap. You can see the groove starting to close. Gently tap. So when it's a little stubborn like that, you've got to lift it up like I did here and squeeze it in, just like that. The last piece, this piece going up against the wall, is usually the most difficult piece to install. It's not really difficult, it's just that you kind of don't have any space to work with. So you got to finagle your body into whatever position you need to in order to close your gaps and maintain a nice straight line. If this joint here, if there's any variance in this joint between the two boards, that will telegraph all the way across your floor, and you'll end up with an uneven floor and have to start all over again. So you want to be sure you utilize your tapping block after you've got your piece nice and snug to align that joint perfectly right there by placing the tapping block equally over the left and the right joint. So we got a nice flush connection here. It's nice and flat coming across and nice and snug at the joint. Any overuse of the tapping block and the hammer will cause cupping in between all joints, which is not good. You'll have to start all over again, because once you start cupping, it telegraphs all the way across the floor. So now I'm going to take you all the way over to the starting position again. And the second, this piece that I'm using is already pre-cut. Pre-cut on the left side. Dusting it off here. All right. So in this case, I have nothing to join to, but I do start off with a shim. This piece is like the easiest piece to go in. Basically, get a shim or two, depending on what your gap is against the wall. In case I got two shims. So line up your board with the adjacent board and get your shims in there to start you off. Now if your floor is nice and level the way it should be, this flooring is a lot less complex than it seems to install, because just by using pressure, the click and lock system will do the job itself with a little bit of tension, without any brute strength, so to speak. Okay.
Got 1 minute left on it.
All right. So this is the second course. Again, I'm going to butt the two ends together. Let the inside leading edge ride up along there. It's riding up along there. I'm going to lift and lock. Lift and lock. Lift and lock. Okay. Using my tapping block. Actually using my pull bar at this point because I'm so close to the edge. I am going to gently lock in this piece, and if it's stubborn, stand it up and lock it in with brute strength. Sometimes just your strength is better than any tools. There we go, we got a nice joint here, and I'll continue. continue off where I left off earlier.
Thank you very much for watching.